Bassem Youssef gave an interview with Mehdi Hassan recently, and this is how he destroyed all Arab nations. This is how he exposed all Arab nations. Let's take a listen at this video, then I will be making some comments.
Why do you care?
Honestly, I didn't care before October 7th. I mean, or didn't care. I thought that this, like, the Palestine-Israeli conflict is a chronic conflict, and it's never going to happen, because even the Arab states are not even like supporting Palestine. They're all, most of them are complicit.
Almost all of them are complicit. This is how he destroyed. This is how he put it, and this is so true. They are all complicit. They are war criminals, even though you might argue they did not take part in the killing of the Palestinians, but because of their silence, they approved what Israel was doing and is still doing in Gaza with the Palestinian. So Arab nations are equally responsible. They're, most of them, I'm not talking about all of them, or most of them, Arab nations, they're just as responsible, as guilty as Israel, the state of Israel. So make no mistake.
There's no point. But after October 7th, and when I started to educate myself, as I told you, my knowledge was below average. And I said, like, how is this happening? It is this is beyond human. And you know, some of the things that's happening, people don't talk about. Like, we talk about humans, but we don't talk about land. There's two things I want to talk about: environment and agriculture. Right now, because of what's happening in Gaza, the environment in Gaza is, I think one of the things that Israel is trying to do is making Gaza totally uninhabitable by humans. There is so much asbestos and so much heavy metals, and you can see that the air on Gaza is different. The way that they have, like, they bombed in, like, the amount of bombs they bombed in 6 days, more than America bombed in 1 year on, I think, on
Iraq.
Iraq. It's crazy. So all of that bombs and all of that nitrate and all of that white phosphorus and all of that actually, Gaza now is really unlivable. It makes it impossible for people to come back. But before that, remember how Israel is promoting itself all around the world as, like, they're making the desert bloom, we have the best. They don't tell you that they use the Palestinian land as a dumping ground. All of the sewage, all of this, they dump it into the Palestinians. Palestinians are not allowed to have any agricultural land outside of Area C, which is the most fertile in all of the West Bank. Palestinians are not allowed to dig for wells. They're not allowed to dig to expand their wells. They're not allowed, even if they would put rain cisterns to collect rainwater, it's being removed by the occupation. Not even allowed to collect rainwater. And there is, like, a very interesting story. Have you ever heard about the only Palestinian?
Okay, before I share with you the story, I just want to ask you this question, dear brothers and sisters. These things are happening. Israel is making the land of Gaza uninhabitable. Where were these Arab nations? Where were the Muslims? This is not October 7th. This is happening for decades. And we are still so complicit. I mean, wallahi, this is not going to be a bad thing, a good thing for the Muslims, even including you and myself on the day of judgment. I mean, this is happening. This apartheid is going on for so many years, and now all of a sudden you have this October 7th. I mean, come on, October 7th could have been the moment, the watershed moment for the Palestinian, for the Arab nations to say, enough is enough. Now we are gonna support the group, the resistance group, and we're gonna bring an end to this occupation that is going on so many decades, because people there are miserable. You are not doing it only because these are Muslim Palestinian, but also just as a human. This is a human responsibility. The Arab nations, they turned their back on the Arabs, on the Palestinians.
It's called the Amuru mushroom farm. It was 10 years ago. There was no mushrooms other than Israeli mushrooms. It was the white-capped mushroom. It's edible. It's not that kind of mushroom.
It's not that kind of mushroom. Let's just clarify.
It's good white-capped mushroom. And there was no Palestinian, only Israeli mushrooms. And then a group of Palestinians, and they were actually tech engineers. They didn't know anything of farm. They taught themselves how to farm. They had to revive ancient methods to collect water and to agriculture. And they started to actually do this mushroom farms. And they from one farm they had more than 30 or 40% of the market. So what did the Israelis do? They started to hold their spore shipments from the Netherlands, the one that they used to plant them, in their ports in the Ashdod port, and they would put them for month and month and month and month, crippling the business. So there's a ways of occupation other than there's the brutality, there's the killing, there's the taking of the land, but there's other ways. They are destroying the land. They are removing any kind of hope for those people to be in the land. Do you know, of course, about the black goat?
No.
The black goats is indigenous for Palestinian land, and it is just like made for this kind of environment. And in 1950s, they banned black goats. And then a few years ago, if you remember, there was like huge wildfires in Palestine because those white goats are not equipped to eat the dry leaves. So they started to, okay, we can allow you to have black goat again. They, as a matter of fact, they had to prevent Palestinians to get za'atar, to collect za'atar. It's wild, and they started to actually to have people that have za'atar. To give them.
Now I want to take you to this portion of the interview where he talks about other important stuff at the same time.
What was your reaction when you saw Rami Youssef, our friend on SNL, talk about the freedom of the Palestinian people and the crowd cheering, applauding, I think 7 seconds straight? That was a moment on SNL there in the middle of New York, was it not?
This shows you that there's a huge separation, disconnect between the people and the media and the political elite. And it starts like sounding as if you're reading 1984. What the speakers are telling you, but what the people actually think. It doesn't matter what you think. We are with Israel. How is it? But people in this, like, this is wrong. It's like, no, we should continue that. That is every time you see marches in the thousands and the hundreds of thousands, and then you see the media, as if they are completely disconnected. They want to tell you, as long as we tell you this is true, you have to believe that. This 7 seconds applause, people coming to Congress, people say, how the hell you're doing? This is a complete disconnect. How is this a democracy if your representatives don't even empathize by when you have someone like what's his name, the guy who lost his legs,
Brian Mast.
Brian Mast, when he said like
wear IDF uniform.
He didn't just wear IDF uniform. He said like there's no Palestinian innocent kids. They should wear, and there would be more of them should be destroyed. That kind of vitriol.
But who did they censor in Congress? The Palestinian woman.
Rashida Tlaib. By the way, what Rami did was actually brilliant because he said, my friend called me and he said, please pray for my dog.
Yes, genius.
And then he said, I pray for the Palestinian, I pray for the hostages, and please God, please help the dog. So it's just like because Americans will maybe react for a dog's pain more than Palestinians, which is very brilliant but very, very painful.
And it is true. I mean, a lot of American, they are more sympathetic towards their dogs, towards their pets, than to the Palestinian human being. This is where we are at right now, dear brothers and sisters. This is where we are at. Human life is not as valuable as those lives of these animals, those dogs. Unbelievable interview. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more podcasts and videos.